Hi everyone, and a warm welcome to this edition of The Studio. Great to see that so many of you are joining us here today. And with me in the studio, as always, is our Chief Purchasing Officer, Andrea Fuder. Welcome to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Linn. So happy to be here.
Thank you. In our previous editions of The Studio, we have zoomed in and focused on two pillars of our sustainability strategy, climate and resources. In today's edition, we will focus on our third pillar, the pillar of people, and focusing specifically on supply network transparency and our supply partner code of conduct. We are a human-centric company. We want everyone in our value chain to be respected, have the right to grow, and have the capability to thrive in a safe and healthy environment. Before we dive deeper into the discussion around this, let's watch the short video about what people means for us here at Volvo Group.
We believe in building a better future, but we can't do that alone. As a human-centric company, we are invested in the power of people and know their contribution changes everything. Viewing the world from beyond our own experience, we draw strength from a global perspective, ensuring that everyone's voice is heard and differences are valued. How we act in our daily work is key in building trust among colleagues, partners, customers, and society. Everyone has the right to feel safe and to be who they are, no matter where they are. Human rights are fundamental. Faced with the many challenges in a constantly changing global environment, it is more important than ever to protect them. Our commitment to human rights covers not only our own operations and employees, but also communities near our operations, suppliers, and people potentially impacted by the use of our products and solutions. Working together with you, our partners and customers, ensures that we can identify and mitigate sustainability risks with a focus on due diligence and collaboration. Many parts of the world are still facing issues with modern slavery, forced labour, child labour, and poor safety. Embedding responsible business practices across the value chain, ensuring transparency and trust, means that we take action together. Together we build an environmental and socially sustainable industry that will support a more equitable future for all, a future we all want to live in.
What a great video. So when we talk about sustainability, we of course also mean people. And to allow people to flourish, we need to provide an environment where they are safe, mentally and physically. And this is a necessity for each and every one of us, no matter where we are. So how do we ensure this, Andrea?
It is of course clear that human rights are key. They are vital for every successful company. And when you think about Volvo, then first of all you think about safe products, right? And this is what we continue to do, develop products and services which don't lead to any kind of accident. But it's much more. It's also how we work on our sites to keep people healthy. And it includes as well the whole value chain, and by this, the whole supply network. We are convinced that it is important that everyone comes to work and into a respectful and inclusive environment, and that everyone is treated with dignity and free of fear.
And on that note, Andrea, let's listen to Ana Sarmiento from RCS Global Group, as she joined us earlier this year at the Volvo Group Purchasing Summit to talk about artisanal mining and the need for supply network transparency and human rights.
If the entire value chain works in partnership, and I feel like I'm repeating a theme here, but it is true and it is very important, if the value chain works in partnership to map out their entire value chain, which actually, if you think of it, is more of a network, not so much a chain. But if they establish their entire network with transparency, they're able to work together to address these issues. So that's the first step. Once that is done, then comes the issue of, or the theory of changes. We can move really from this purely compliance focus of I have to do this because transparency is a requirement, it's what we have to do, to that performance lens. We can really improve things, we can really do better, and we can drive forward the ambitions that leaders in the sector have. Is artisanal mining important? Yes. Is it in global value chains? Most certainly. Is it going to be even more important? Absolutely. And can there be something done about it? Yes. And here to wrap up and to really finalize the key to improving artisanal mining, to managing the risks, and to make it integrated into the value chain is partnerships, collaboration. There are existing solutions, there are initiatives on the ground, not only Better Mining, there's others, but there's a lot of work being done already. If collectively the value chain can come together, partner together, and work on these issues, there certainly is a very strong case to see how artisanal mining will become, responsible artisanal mining will become a normal part of value chain and not just an exception, which is what is considered nowadays.
So Andrea, we've just heard from Ana Sarmiento that transparency is really the key step to ensure practices are embedded and that the human element of the supply chain is protected. What challenges do we face with this?
Well, at the end, everything comes down to protecting the people. And with this, all of us have to have the right due diligence in place, which means we have to assure that human rights are safeguarded across the value chain. To do this, we need to understand our supply network, and we have to make sure that human rights are enabled. This is definitely a challenge no one can do alone. And we also see now from all the regulators that there is an increased push for this transparency of human rights. However, to be very honest, I don't think that this transparency is a given.
So on the note of transparency, this will be a clear expectation and an enabler for us moving forward. So how can we put this into motion and into practice?
I think we have to look at it from different angles. When we talk about our first-tier supply partners, I think there we have a very good grip on what's going on. We have very transparent and open dialogues. So that's not the point. The challenge is when we go down the supply chain. And in our case, we talk about millions of companies we have in our supply network when we think it through to the raw material. But this challenge is not only for Volvo Group. This challenge is a reality for everyone in the industry. And I think everyone recognizes this challenge. And therefore we need activities like Catena X to work together to establish the right data interfaces to come to this transparency down to the raw material.
So Andrea, how do we now work to ensure that responsible business practices are in place in our supply network?
As I mentioned before, Linn, we need to ensure that due diligence is in place to respect people and human rights. And this has to happen along the whole value chain. But this is also where our supply partner code of conduct come into place. This is really our guiding star. In our Supply Partner Code of Conduct, we clearly phrase what are the requirements, what is mandatory if you want to be a partner of Volvo Group. But we also show ambitious, we motivate our partners to go beyond the pure requirements. And by the way, I'm also super happy that here we stay in dialogue and you also help us to continue to optimize our expectations and our way of working.
So Andrea, why have we chosen to structure our Supply Partner Code of Conduct into the two categories of requirements and expectations?
I think it's a good question. We are in a big transformation. The whole industry is in a big transformation. And in this, we have to accept that we are on a journey. So with our requirements, we are very clear what is it what we expect, which cannot be taken off the table. It's mandatory today and now. And with our expectations, or you could call them ambitious, we prepare together on our journey already the next level.
So this is something that you would see evolve over time. What gets into what bucket of expectations and requirements?
Exactly. This is how I see it. What is today expectation, ambitious, can easily fall tomorrow into the basket requirement.
And this is how we will work with our supply partners to evolve this over time, collectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, we are very humble in this journey, and of course we don't know it all, and therefore it is so important for me that we stay in dialogue with our supply partners, and that we also have supply partners who are not shy to give us inspiration, to tell us what they expect is the next step on this journey.
And of course, our Supply Partner Code of Conduct isn't just about the people pillar. Of course, we also have similar expectations and requirements for resources and for climate. And some of the things we have added are things like biodiversity and thinking about water management, for example. Could you elaborate a little bit on those areas?
So in a way, our Supply Partner Code of Conduct is reflecting, of course, first of all, on people. But for people, it is also important to live in a safe and healthy environment. So it's quite logical that also then climate comes into place to decarbonize, to stop climate change, as well as taking care of the resources of the world. And under this headline, we have, of course, circular models, as well as protecting biodiversity, protecting water, and so on and so forth, avoiding substances of concern.
And in our Supply Partner Code of Conduct that covers the three different elements of our sustainability strategy, there's also a fourth element that we bring into this, right?
Absolutely, Linn. Of course, the three pillars describe what we do, and then it is the question how we do business. And this is where, of course, we need as a fourth pillar business ethics and compliance, right?
Well, certainly. So on this note, how do you now expect the full supply network to work with this important document? How do we cascade and make sure that this is really across the full supply network now?
Of course, first of all, this document, the Supply Partner Code of Conduct, is a mandatory part of our contracts with our first-tier supply partners. But what we really hope that it is also used by our supply partners to be cascaded down, to be shared. And we are also not shy to share it. So it is available for every company who wants to use it, because we really believe that we talk in our Supply Partner Code of Conduct about values which are important for everyone.
Thank you so much for this, Andrea. And thank you to everyone for joining us here today. And until next time.